Before I go into today's Q&A, I thought I'd give you a quick update on last week's video so that I didn't have to take up your time to do the boring repotting. Basically what I did is I put the lino, mosquito screen liner in the bottom and used my regular soil mix in these 3 trees that I did last week. And that's the cork elm, Hokkaido elm, I guess. I reoriented so that this is more towards this side, and then twist it a little bit to create a little bit more depth. Not much, but it's, the front is now here to all the way to back here. And this one, I actually reoriented quite a bit, and some of you and I also suggest the possibility of making a double trunk. I decided to keep it a cascade, a semi-cascade like the way it is, because semi-cascade are a little bit more hard to find. But the one flaw of this tree is that, this is thick, but this is a little bit thinner than this, but still it's very long, and it gives the impression that the lower branch is over thick. But I think it's okay because what I'm going to do is that let this part grow some of that into sacrificial branches so that this will thicken to make the whole tree look very natural. And I will probably make this the apex. Then it will be going up, coming back, and the triangle. Now this one, I did a little anchor wiring by pulling this branch down. I should pull this down too, but in time. But that seemed to make a whole lot of difference because that accentuated the asymmetry in the triangle. And it's that kind of a little adjustment that make a tree look good. So now you have a root going out this way, quite a broad base, and then you have to turn and to create the depth. So this will be quite a nice looking tree after the few years. So for example, I may very well bend this over, wire it, so that this part will be full like a pad. And it'll be a pad over there, a pad over here. And I think this will be a very nice tree. And, this was a wild tree dug up and in a 5-gallon can without much ado. And I worked on it about 2 years ago, and it's already gone to this stage. So it doesn't take long for you to take a wild tree to make it look good. So thank you for your participation, and I give you an update every 6 to 12 months. Hi, I'm miltonchang of bonsaiheirloom. Why do you wait so long when you trim the branches of the junipers that you have? Seems like you'll be constantly stressing the tree, out of course. Well, the reason why I kept it a long time before I trim it is because I want the branch to thicken. And because if you cut it off, it slows down the growth. And I also like to increase ramification, give me more design opportunities. But there are many commentary about I cut the branches, cut the trees too drastically. So let me, in defense of myself, first of all, if you don't cut it drastically, how do you really remove the undesirable branches? I think that's the only way. And then you let the remainder branches growing out to fill the space based on the natural inclination of the tree and the environment so that you'll be able to explain it. That actually ties into the next question. Very few trees look like yours. I will always be able to spot your tree in the lineup because my trees are all different. Every tree have a basic design, but then beyond that, it's capitalizing the natural tendency of the tree. So it's not totally based on my will by bending the tree this way and that way, but rather be able to explain why the tree drooped this way or grew this way because the light comes from that direction or whatever it is. So again, my method is basically cut the trees back quite drastically. You really don't set back the tree. Just imagine how fast a small cutting grows into a very big tree very quickly in a 1-gallon can in 1 year. Actually, how much, in a sense of how much it will grow in 1 year in a nursery can. So I think the cutting it back drastically is okay. I don't see anything wrong with it. It does look very bare at the end, but in 6 months it will fill up. How do you tell your tree is over 1,000 to 1,500 years old? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If you look at it, there are lines, and in the sense of circle, the rings, but these are slices, so you can see the rings in lines. And the line spacing is like fraction of a millimeter. And the reason why they're so finely spaced is because these are trees dug from the Mojave Desert, high desert, where it gets very little rain and the roots are very, very deep and they grow very little every year. It's a very harsh environment. On the other hand, if you take a California juniper, you plant it down here, for example, it will grow fairly rapidly. I would say in 5 years, it'll be about this big. And so you really have to count the rings to know roughly how old the tree might be. So the tree I just did is basically almost 20 inches across. That means a slice is 20 inches. And that works out to be almost 2,000 years, but I don't know. So I would say it's between 1,000 to 1,500 years. I've heard a lot from the fungi folks. I learned that how complicated soil is until I learned about mycology. It is true. Growing mushroom well is really a science and an art. Whereas growing trees, the trees are very forgiving. They grow almost in any kind of environment, any kind of soil, most of the trees anyway. Whereas the fungi or the mushrooms tend to grow well in very, very specific and bacteria-free, at least the right bacteria, or wrong bacteria-free medium. And we have much to learn from the fungi folks. But for most of the trees that we grow, especially those are well-established, known trees that are good for bonsai, I would say my mix of 1 part topsoil, what I call sandy loam, wonderful sandy loam from Pescadero, plus our proprietary soil mix with the sandy loam and perlite. I think they should do fine for 95% of the tree. And for trees that are known to require a little bit more aeration, I will add maybe 1 more part of perlite, but that's all. So soil is really easy. All you need is 3 criteria. One is retain moisture, retain nutrients, and allow air to penetrate. That means porosity. Thank you for your approach. I was in the Bonsai Society that is very opinionated. We are correct, you're wrong. The old club members are very standoff, which make me leave. Your approach is refreshing. Well, actually the reasoning is actually very fundamental. Here I'm saying bonsai is art. Be free to do what you want, but you gotta know a few basics, like never let the root ball dry out. But beyond that, anything goes. Because as I said early on, trees are very forgiving. On the other hand, bonsai is taught in Japan, for example, as a craft. In fact, Japanese bonsai masters are known as master craftsmen. That means it's a very well-defined set of rules to achieve a very well-defined set of design goals. And when you look at the bonsai trees in Japan, I think every tree's got a very interesting trunk. But beyond that, it's number 1 branch, number 2 branch of the hat. I think it's admirable. It's so detailed, meticulously groomed. You have to admire the devotion that the person put into the bonsai, and for many, many generations. On the other hand, in American lifestyle, we're too busy. We're here now, and we're not worrying about future generation as much. So enjoy a bonsai as an art. Anything goes within reason. What I do object to are the contrived curves. To me, that's like stereotyping bonsai. So my point is that enjoy it anything goes within reason so long it's artistically pleasing to you and pleasing to most of the people. You can't please everybody. This is reference to sapling stick in a cascade bonsai. The question is really about the name of the tree that I used. For sure, it's cork elm. And corticosa, that's just a Latin way of saying cork. So that got to be correct. So Ulmus corticosa is correct. Now, according to Wikipedia, the Hokkaido elm is from Hokkaido, but it's called parvifolia, which is a Chinese elm. So I suspect it's not parvifolia, but rather japonica. Now on the name, Hokkaido versus Seiju, and you know, about 25 years ago, I actually drove out to a place near a city, a village near Sacramento. A gentleman returned from Japan, retired from Japan, in the Air Force, returned from Japan. He brought back the small elm, and I distinctively remember he said, "This is Seiju." Now, Seiju, I don't know about Seiju, but sei in Japanese could mean small. So I suspect Seiju is indeed a small leaf variety. On the other hand, Wiki says Seiju is the one with the big leaves and Hokkaido is with the small leaves. I think that's wrong. Well, this is the end, but I want to make an announcement before I go. That is, finally their website is up. So please go to our website to look at the description of our Chinese elm in our first release. They are about 10 inches wide, about 12 inches tall, implemented well in our proprietary soil mix and as well as in our patent pending pot that retains water for a brief period to make it easier for you to maintain. And orders yours soon and get in line so that we can ship you as the trees are becoming available. Thank you very much.